How's it? Today is Tuesday, November 18th. It is week 3 of the back squat and overhead press 5-3-1. And today was really, really strange. So last night, I went into work. I was extremely nauseous, and I actually ended up leaving before work started. Came home. I threw up a little bit because that was the reason why didn't feel like I was going to be able to make it through work. And then I fell asleep till like 10 a.m. So it was like maybe like 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. That's how long I slept. And so last night's food was really, really strange. Um, Last night's overall hydration was really weird. And I kind of am feeling a lot of the repercussions from that today. And I don't say that that's gonna really be the reason that prevents me from lifting for whatever reason, but that's what happens today, and it's kind of it is what it is. I was not as prepared for today as I wish I would have been, but that's okay. Week 3, so working sets of 5, 3, and 1 at 75%, then 85%, and then 95% for 1 plus. Um, Given everything I just laid out, I literally just did the one set of 1 at the top weight, and that's totally fine, right? The main idea is just to get the working sets done. Everything else after that is optional. Everything from like the 3 plus set from last week, 5 plus set from 2 weeks ago, 1 plus today, that's all extra credit. All of the volume afterwards is extra credit, and all of the extra higher intensity is also extra credit. And so I did not do any of the increased intensity today, but that would have looked like a single at 162. Here's my single at 154. And like during the rep, it didn't feel like I was going to be able to do a second one, but I went over to watch the video before I started doing my volume, and I was like, damn, I could have done another one, and I genuinely still believe I could have done another one right now, which is saying a lot of things, but also saying nothing at the same time, because I can't go back and add in that extra rep from earlier today, and so it is what it is. Again, I didn't do any of the higher intensity stuff simply because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but my optional volume here for 2 sets of 6 at 122 is starting to get challenging. And a couple weeks ago, I was able to do weight at around this weight for 3 sets of 10 as my all of the working weights. But I know I mentioned it before, like the lower intensity volume across a little bit more sets might seem a little bit easier, and it feels like it is easier, but I do think it's going to be still very effective, right? And we'll see what happens next week for my overall progression on the 531. So the natural progression for next week in week 4 would be actually to restart that rep scheme for 5. So instead of using my training volume at 162, I will actually use my actual percentage max. It's 180 is what I put in, and I know I haven't done 180 in a very long time, but it's the number that I calculated from doing like how many reps I could do at, I think it was 130 for 10, something like that. So being able to do 180 would be really great, but the progression would be just to, instead of doing my percentages off of 162, now I go back to doing my percentages off of 180. So I'll do that for weeks 4, 5, and 6, and then week 7 would be a deload. Actually, at the end of week 7, you would hopefully be able to max out, right? Because you do all the volume up to week 6, and then that is basically putting you at percentage-wise 100% of what you were doing before. And yeah, we'll we'll see how far I can get with this. It still gives me all of the optional volume and optional intensity for everything. I definitely can do it more for my overhead press, right? So I'm following the same rep scheme for everything on the overhead press. And this is actually the program that I like the most for my overhead press. This is what got me to pressing. What was the most I've done? 80, 81, 178. 178 pounds is the most I've ever pressed for a single rep. And that was during COVID. That was a long time ago. That was like 5 years ago at this point. Four or 5 years ago. I don't remember if it was 2020 or 2021. Whatever the case is, it was ages ago. But yeah, I know I can make a lot of progress again with the overhead press. And I think that having the strength in my upper body, like not even necessarily the exact pressing muscles, but the strength in the overall musculature in the upper body is going to help me with cleans. It's going to help me with snatches. It's going to help me with all of these things. So I'm really excited to keep nailing those in and driving those home. After that, I did my Bulgarian split squats with some bicep curls and then some back extensions, and that is really all I did today. My lower back it kind of feels weird today, but I feel like that is largely due to me not moving around last night. Sleeping for how long was that? Uh, 18 hours or so, something like that. That's a long time. So we'll see what happens as I move forward. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Shoots.